The Diz List, we count down the top 5 reasons we bought DVC.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast list, everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today we're going to count down the top 5 reasons we bought DVC. Now, I didn't buy DVC.
Today, I was going to say, you didn't tell me about it. You didn't tell me.
I know. Newsflash. Well, not that I'm anti. You know, I love these episodes and I like learning about it. It's
maybe by the end you'll want to.
Well, I think I already want to now. It's just it's always figuring out money. And anyway, we have a special guest today. We're going to have our friend of the show on, our friend Craig from the Ear Scouts podcast. He's going to be on after the halftime show, but we wanted to go over some news bits before we brought our friend Craig on. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. My hat is my Buffalo Bills morning hat. Nick and I, before we hit record, just kind of discussed. I mean, it was not a great game. We were a little upset about our poor Buffalo Bills, and I know it's a Disney podcast, but Nick and I we would say we are bigger than average fans. We're not insane, crazy Bills fans, but we're a little sad. So I had a black on black hat in mourning of our poor team.
Yeah, I had a bad sports day altogether yesterday because Arsenal also tied. And they dropped 2 points. They didn't drop. It's hard to say. If you know soccer, they dropped points means that instead of getting all 3 points, they only got one of the 3. But It is what it is. They're still in first, so maybe I can get a title out of them this year.
I feel the same way with the Celtics. They're in second place and they don't even have their best player. Okay, moving on. No more sports. No more sports. We love our sports, but this is our Disney podcast, which we love just as much. Maybe more.
Yes.
Let's talk about Galaxy's Edge. This week, there are a lot of big announcements out of Disney / Lucasfilm / Star Wars. Lucasfilm is the company that George Lucas did that kind of manages Star Wars. And the other kind of funny thing that sort of happened at the same time, I don't know if it's related or not, but Kathleen Kennedy, who was a major producer for a lot of different Lucasfilm projects, stepped down, and they hired 2 people to kind of take that place. One is a guy named Dave Filoni, who's been very, we'll say, integral to the Star Wars universe the last couple of years, and helped write such things as, well, he's a producer on Mandalorian, and he wrote the Clone Wars show, and then they brought on another, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but they kind of split the job into 2. They sort of said, you're going to be the business person that's going to run the company, and Dave Filoni is going to be like a creative director. Am I getting that right, Nick?
Yeah, I would say that's about how I would describe it.
Now, why don't we transition to you discussing the big news with Galaxy's Edge? Now, that I don't know if it's tied together or not. So Galaxy's Edge is now what?
Well, Galaxy's Edge, they basically have completely ripped the Band-Aid off and said, we're not going to be worried so much about timelines. And so they are essentially saying that the original trilogy is going to be present now in Galaxy's Edge.
Right.
This is something fans have been asking for since Galaxy's Edge opened. Mm-hmm. A lot of people feel like Disney didn't do very well with the sequels. I didn't hate them as much as some other people. I took them for what they were, which is it's better than nothing.
Yep.
But I think that a lot of people were just hoping for, when they said Galaxy's Edge and they're going to have a Star Wars land, I think they were hoping that it was going to be more of what they grew up loving, and it wasn't.
I think my 2 cents on this is the original trilogy. They're kind of 1977 through 1982, I believe, are those 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Are sort of universally loved by every generation of Star Wars fans, from the young to our generation and older. Everybody sort of has this love for those particular characters.
Correct.
Now, I want to talk about one little issue that I have, and It's not really a problem. It's my own personal problem, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. When I see walk around characters at Disney World, I like characters like Chewbacca or Mickey, or I prefer the characters that are wearing like a full costume and not as much the face characters. They showed they were going to bring in Princess Leia and Han Solo. It's much more difficult for me as an adult fan to connect with somebody. To me, it just looks like someone in a costume, and that's harder for me. If I see Chewbacca, doesn't matter who's in that costume. That to me is Chewbacca. Mandalorian, full armor, same thing. I'm going to easily connect with that. If I see somebody wearing like the full Han Solo, even though I'm a huge fan of that particular character, I'm going to be like, oh, cool, that guy's got the Han Solo suit on, because it's not Harrison Ford. What are your thoughts on that? You with me or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I get where you're coming from, right? But I'm the same way. I think we're all the same way too with like any characters, any face characters, sort of.
I'm okay with the princesses though. Like I look at Cinderella, I'm like, that's Cinderella, and I think it's.
I don't know. I've seen some pretty bad ones.
Played, well, I haven't really seen a lot of the live action remakes of the princess movies.
Right.
But if you look at a character like Han Solo, who's iconically played by Harrison Ford, that's the face I'm looking for, right? And when
yes, I know. I 100% understand what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
It's different because the princesses are coming from animated movies, and so it's okay.
Right.
That said, like, I mean, Luke is still going to be Luke. Han Solo is going to be. Yeah. It's tough. It is.
But I also realize this is my issue, and I don't think everyone is going to have a problem with it. I think the young kids are going to be fine. I'll wait in line for Vader.
Look, I agree with you, but they've had Rey. I mean, they've had Rey in the parks.
Okay, but I didn't necessarily like it. It was cool. But
so then do you not want Luke and Han Solo?
No, I do, and I think it's very helpful for the vast majority of people. I'm trying to say, I realize that I am probably not the majority here. It's not that I don't like it. It's for me, it doesn't mean, it's not exciting for me where I see Sorcerer Mickey and I lose it. Like my family be like, oh yeah, he went nuts when he saw Sorcerer Mickey. Like, I know it's a person in a suit, but to me, it's not. To me, it's magical.
Here's a hot take you can make your little TikTok out of. I think walk around characters like that are from movies are dumb. I don't think they're good. I think I'm with you. Like the Han Solo, like I don't
Han Solo, sure.
Like I think it's, and you know what? I don't go to the parks for it. Like cool in a parade, it's fun. I get behind it in a parade.
Mm-hmm.
But like walk around characters that are supposed to be Han or Luke or Leia or Rey don't make sense. They don't. The ones that do make sense are Mando. I'm with you. I am totally with you. And guess what?
Ren, Stormtroopers.
They don't make my park day different.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make that's why I don't understand why people were so up in arms that there's none of the original trilogy in there. It's Star Wars. The Millennium Falcon's there.
Yeah.
Like, how much more original trilogy do you want? Like, I guess, okay, I get it. You don't like Rey. So Rey is there and you got upset. Okay, cool. It's not like they're bringing out a John Boyega lookalike.
You know
what I mean?
The timeline doesn't bother me as much. That's not really an issue. Like, if they were to have a walk around Jar Jar Binks, I'd be okay because it's a costume, but my biggest issue, and I'll kind of end it here, unless you want one last thing to say. But I'm going to end with the problem is when they first decided to make Black Spire Outpost in this brand new area. I mean, I'm reading more and more over the last couple of weeks that originally they're supposed to do a Tatooine and an Endor, which are two places from the original trilogy. If you're not a Star Wars person, I don't know. I will just say they should have made the right decision from the beginning instead of now doing damage control. So I should probably move on to the next.
Yes, because this is going to be a long episode otherwise.
I know it is. All right, Next topic is I started watching Tron the other day.
You started?
Yep.
How was the ending? How was the ending? How about the middle?
I started it, and then I changed the channel. Moving on.
Weird.
I'm going to let you talk about this one because I didn't know this until you told me at work the other day. Diamond Horseshoe is going to have a nice surprise.
Yes, they're bringing Toy Story characters. Mainly Jesse's coming in. They're doing a basically think of it as a character based Western review, almost like, I don't want to say it's going to be like Hoop-de-Doo, but that kind of style on the stage. They mentioned something about crafts. I don't know how crafting on the stage, like what's going on there. But it's going to be like a dinner show. So I'm not really sure how they're doing it. If they're going to do it like where there's different seatings like Hoop-de-Doo, or if they're going to do it like they do over at Beer Garden, where there is a show that you might come into in the middle of it, but that's fine. So I'm not entirely certain how they're going to do it, but they are bringing characters to the Diamond Horseshoe, which is good because as of now, it's literally just the same food, copy and paste the recipes, just they name them a little bit different. Like the name of the sticky toffee pudding is different there, but it's the same stuff as Liberty Tree Tavern. So it's the same exact meal, just in a different place. Like they don't
the same kitchen and food just goes out two different directions.
Well, it's literally the same. Like the menu is the same. It's not like they just share a kitchen. It's like they straight up are the same food. It's like you went to McDonald's and then you went to Burger King, except for McDonald's and Burger King now have exactly the same menu.
Oh,
so like it's there's nothing different. It's so weird. And I've always thought that, but now there's a reason to go to Diamond Horseshoe instead. And there was originally, that was an opening, I don't know if it was opening day, but they had a show in there back in the 70s. And then that ran through until like mid 80s. Then that got replaced by something. And the next show ran until like 2003, I want to say. But yeah, so it's exciting to see that they're bringing that. Now you mentioned when we talked about it, man, that's a lot of Pixar. Because Pixar's across the right,
it goes from,
because Cars is going to be there.
Right. You go from zero Pixar to like half Pixar. Not really half, but
over in that section, zero Pixar.
If you walk out the front door of Diamond Horseshoe and look straight across, that's where this Piston Peak area is going to be, directly across. So that's kind of cool. That'll be kind of a nice little. I never in a million years would have said, there's going to be a lot of Pixar presence over in that sort of, Liberty Square, that whole area. I would never have guessed, but
right. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a really good show and we have a special guest on, so I think we should head off to the halftime show so we can get going. And how's that sound?
I think that sounds great. When we get back after the halftime show, which is brought to you by our patrons over at patreon.com/DizListPod. When we get back, we're going to be talking all things DVC. I'm excited for this one. I love geeking out about some DVC. So this should be a lot of fun. Join us. Also, please make sure you're following on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Well, not Twitter. We don't really use Twitter.
I don't do Twitter.
I don't do it. But follow us on all the things so that way you can help the show out. We truly appreciate it. But we're going to head off to the halftime show and we'll see you right after that.
Oh, they're kind of fun.
Welcome back. In this half of the show, we are going to be talking about the reasons that I and Craig, our guest, purchased DVC and why we'd probably do it again. So, Craig, first of all, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you.
Well, Craig, let's get a little bit of a background for where you're coming from and what show that you were part of. What is the name of your podcast? I mean, a lot of people listening know, but if someone's new to the show, can you talk about Ear Scouts and what the Ear Scouts podcast is for us, please?
Yes, I am fortunate enough to be part of the Ear Scouts podcast. If you're not familiar, Ear Scouts started out as a YouTube channel and still is, with great videos. We focus mostly on park strategy, trip planning, how to get the most for your money, how to avoid wasting a lot of time. But yeah, the whole trip planning thing is what we like to focus on. And that's a good kick for me. I love helping people have a great time at Disney. I think we all share that. Like, we do this so someone else can have as much fun as we just had.
Now, you have 4 hosts on that show, and I'll be honest, a lot of times when there's 4 hosts, it's kind of like there's too many cooks in the kitchen, but I truly feel like you balance it really well. Like
I'm glad to heir that.
It is.
Yeah,
it's scripted well, where Rob, who is the main host, not me, Ear Scouts Rob, the other Rob, will like perfectly throw it to you. Okay, Craig, you have a news bit. Can you talk about this that happened this week? And then can you take a minute here, Craig, and talk about who the other hosts are and kind of what their roles are in the show?
Oh, sure. Well, we have Rob and Eric, our Ear Scouts founders. Of course, Rob is the face of Ear Scouts. You see him on a lot of all the videos. He's the one that's so good at explaining things. He's the one that does all the graphics and the editing. And that's one thing that first drew me to Ear Scouts, was just the quality of the videos. They do such a great job with that. And then the other half is Eric, who he monitors here's one thing. So I think one nice thing about our podcast is we simulcast it with our Patreon. So we have like a live audience, chiming in on with texts and that kind of stuff on the during the website or during the podcast. So Eric monitors that, and so he will chime in if somebody has a comment that's pertinent to whatever we're discussing. And then we also have Miss Jessica. She is our resident expert on all things Zootopia. Also, she's like characters. She knows. She's not a thrill ride person, whereas I am. So we kind of try to balance that, where she does the stuff that I'm not that familiar with, and I'm the one who will do the whole big ride thing and talk about those things and resorts, etc. So we are focusing more again on the strategy stuff, kind of getting back to the channel's roots this year. So hopefully we'll get a lot more listeners.
So one last question here, and then we'll get into our list, which is the fun stuff. But let's learn a little bit about you, Craig. Where did your Disney journey begin? How did you first get into Disney? Do you live in Orlando? Let's talk about that a little bit. How did you get into it?
Oh, no, I'm from small town, northern Indiana, growing up watching Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evenings. Mom would make a big batch of popcorn. We'd spread a sheet out over the carpet so we didn't get butter on the carpet. And we'd sit there and, I'd see the opening with the castle. And I guess I did actually go to Disneyland when I was really small, 5 or 6. So there are pictures of me at Disneyland, but I have zero memory of it actually being there. So, yeah, it was just always my dream to go to Disneyland. I've always loved theme parks. I live close to Cedar Point and Great America. I'm kind of right between those two. So I grew up being able to go to those parks. But not until 1979, and I was either 15 years old, did I first get to go to the Magic Kingdom. And I was ready to go, and I just loved it. Then it wasn't until after college in the 80s that I was able to go back with some friends. We literally drove from Chicago in my car. A friend of mine worked for the Westin, who owns the Swan. So we got to stay there for free. Wow. We picked up cans of tuna, a loaf of bread, stole mayonnaise and relish packets, ate tuna sandwiches in the room. And with the tickets, with the gas, with the room, everything, I think it cost us maybe $400 each for a week at Disney.
That's great.
Now, we gave up a lot to make that happen, and we were dirt poor. We're living in the city of Chicago, and we made it happen. And that's when I really got hooked.
That would make a great movie, like that road trip to Disney. That'd be a great movie.
Oh yeah, there are stories that maybe we can share later. But yeah,
I love it.
Lots of stories.
That's great.
Early 20s, driving to Disney World. Yeah, it was insane.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, this is cool. So we're going to transition now into our list, our top 5 reasons that we, meaning you two, have bought DVC. Now, both Craig and Nick are owners, and they're going to discuss it a little bit. Nick will kind of talk about quickly here. Nick, what's your shortest definition of what DVC is? Now, just for people that they don't know, what are these letters? What do these letters mean?
So DVC stands for Disney Vacation Club. It is let's call it what it is. It's a timeshare program. Okay. But it's with Disney, and it's got a lot of different things than like your typical timeshare. For instance, it's based on points, and it has a time limit. So like after 50 years, generally it's 50 years, the contract for that particular resort is expired. So it's not something you own in perpetuity. Those are things that are different from other kinds of timeshares. It is there are a bunch of different resorts within the Disney realm, because it's not just at Disney World, that are DVC resorts. There's one in Hawaii that I stayed at this summer. There are 2 on the West Coast. There are actually 2 on the East Coast that are not part of Disney. So there's Hilton Head and there's Vero Beach, and then there's the big dogs at Disney World. And we'll go through a little bit about which ones we like the most, but they kind of offer everything for you. It is certainly something a little bit different than your typical timeshare, though, because it holds value. This isn't something where you get, if you own DVC, you get those phone calls that are like, oh, you want me to help you sell your timeshare? And then you end up paying somebody to take your timeshare. But I think that's why this list it's going to kind of evolve, and we're going to learn more about it as you go. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the whole purpose of the list is the top 5 reasons that you both purchased it. Right. So Craig, you were our guest on the show. I'm going to have you start with your first one, your number 5. Mm-hmm. What is your number 5 reason that you decided to buy DVC, Craig?
Okay, well, my number 5 is that you get all of the deluxe resort perks. Mm-hmm. Things like extra evening hours, anything that, deluxe resort you get with any of your DVC accommodations, from just the little studio at Old Key West to a 3-bedroom at Bay Lake Tower.
I didn't know that. That's actually really interesting. Like that was never something that crossed my mind. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So for instance, Rob, when we went, if you'll recall, when we went and stayed together at the Poly, you and I enjoyed extra evening hours both at Epcot and at Magic Kingdom. And that is something that is for deluxe resorts. It doesn't matter which DVC resort you stay in, those perks go with that DVC. So you could be staying in a cabin at Fort Wilderness. You could be staying at the Riviera. You could be staying in a 3-bedroom villa at Animal Kingdom Lodge. It doesn't matter what room. Like Craig said, you get those perks, and that is huge.
That's cool. All right, Craig, back to you here. I'm sure you had another thought there. I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, no, we're just talking about just being in the deluxe resorts. When I first purchased, I was staying at Riverside, which was still Dixie Landings back then. This was like late 1999. And basically, we'll talk about, value and all that later, but just crunching a few numbers, so what we just spent on Riverside, we could be staying at the Boardwalk, and for less, because we got Riverside. My ex was in the Navy, so we even got a military discount on that, and it was still more expensive than what DVC was going to be. So that was the other no-brainer. It was just like, I can elevate. Yeah, I could stay somewhere cheaper for sure, but to elevate the experience. And yes, I can be a little bougie. I will admit that. So
that's okay. You are allowed to once in a while.
Yeah. My daughter is the bougie one in my household. So I totally understand.
Nick, why don't you give us your number 5?
My number 5, I just wrote down the math was mathin'. So I'm a math guy. I am a numbers guy. I crunch numbers, and it's amazing that Craig just mentioned the whole money thing with the value by going to Riverside, because that is literally where I looked at potentially going to was Riverside, and we ended up renting at Poly, and it made more sense to just rent at Poly than it did than it did for us to even just go to Riverside. Those moderate resorts actually, they're beautiful resorts, don't get me wrong, but they actually cost more than renting points. And then I was like, well, why would I want to pay for somebody else's membership? So I started doing the numbers, and, we're going to do a Patreon episode where we answer questions and talk about all of that stuff and talk about the actual budgetary side of things. But the math really makes sense. You're getting a lot of value for the money. And the other thing is this, my contracts that I bought are actually worth more today than they were when, I could sell them now, and basically I have vacationed since 2019 for free to Disney.
Wow.
So that's why it's something I would do again. It's why I still look at adding on contracts. Craig and I were joking about that earlier this week in our group text, that the add-on-itis is a real thing. Adding contracts to accommodate your bouginess too, because once you stay in a 1-bedroom, it's real tough to go back to a studio.
The
I would
toothpaste
say
is out of the tube.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say the math numbers is the big thing there. Yeah.
That I have to mention, the 1-bedroom has a washer dryer. So again, I was living in Chicago, having to lug laundry up 3 flights of stairs to the basement of the condo building I was living in. And being able to do laundry on vacation was like being on vacation. It's this is great. Yeah. I'm going to go home and I don't have to do laundry.
Well, that's just
going to be clean.
That's just it. Going home and not having to do it. Yeah, exactly. So what do you got for number 4, Craig?
Okay. I have the ability to bank and borrow your points. So for those who aren't that familiar with DVC, you buy a certain amount of points, and you can spend those points at the different resorts at different times of years, which brings a lot of flexibility, which is great. So, but you do also have the ability to bank this year's points into the next year, and you can also borrow from the next year. So technically, if you have 3 years worth of points, you could spend in one vacation if you wanted to. So again, that's great for people who aren't coming that often. If they do come every 2 or 3 years, that's a great way. They can buy less points that way and, work from there. It's a great way to save some money as well. Of course, easiest way to save money is to not go, but that's not going to happen. So, and then we were talking about add-on-itis. The problem is I've already borrowed so many points, and now I'm going more often because of the podcast, which is great. Yeah. So, but it also gives me the opportunity. I'm going to be there in a couple of weeks and staying off property, using my Holiday Inn points, and then Eric and I are going, and we're going to stay at Port Orleans French Quarter, which will be a first for me. So, very excited
I've
about
been
that
at
too.
Riverside, not French Quarter, but that whole area is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the whole banking and borrowing thing. So I agree with you. That is a huge perk. My number 4 is flexibility, and that is exactly what banking and borrowing allows you to do. For us, I have more points than I really need for most years. I mean, when I stay at the Poly, which is my home resort, I'm going to use all my points because it's a point expensive resort. But if I I could stay in a 2-bedroom over at Boardwalk and not use all my points. So the reality is that having that many points means that if I bank them, eventually I'm going to get to a point where, hey, let's do a big trip. Let's do this huge. Or, hey, let's vacation 3 times this year, or let's rent out this many points, because you can rent them out And then once I do that, I'm going to pay my dues for that year, plus be able to go on a vacation elsewhere. So the flexibility that DVC is my number 4 reason, because I don't have to. People are like, well, now you're locked into going to Disney. And while for me, I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm going to go to Disney every year.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point. But you're not locked in. You know, I went to Hawaii this summer. That's a trip that I'm not taking if I don't own DVC. And maybe I decide, you know, I want to go to the Pacific Northwest, or I want to take a cruise, or I can rent my points out and then use that cash to help offset the cost of that vacation. And in many cases, I can pay for the whole trip by renting out my points. So the flexibility part of DVC is massive. People think it locks you in, but to me, it's actually more flexible than most.
Jeez, that's great.
Oh yeah, and that's on my list as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of segues into my number 3, if we want to.
Yeah, go
on.
right ahead.
And that is the ability to rent.
Great.
Which is a huge thing. But when it comes to, you know, if you need the cash, like I justified an add-on because it had a lot of points up front. Like I was getting a lot of points for that use here that needed to be used like within a certain amount of time, which was great. Then I justified having to pay the dues on that. It's like, oh, I can just rent these out because I'm not going to be able to use these. And that took care of the dues and basically almost the purchase cost as well. So that is a huge plus. It's something you're not going to get with other timeshares.
No.
Craig, do you use a company or a service that you go through to rent your points?
Yeah, I've only used a DVC rental store. Huge shout out to them, Paul and Amy, great people, and that whole group. But I've also heard great things about David. I think I used him to rent once, but I haven't used him to rent my points. I've only rented from them.
Yeah.
Nick, have you done that other than renting to me, which obviously I was involved with?
I have not rented out my points to anybody but you. Okay. And the year that we went, my one and only one trip, remember that one, Rob?
Yes.
The only trip I was ever going on. That particular trip, I rented points direct from somebody. So that one was someone from a forum. It was from the Diz boards, if you've ever been on the Diz boards. And, I went through, vetted the guy, and he had references. I would recommend going through a store just because I could have definitely gotten burned, but, he did have a lot of references and it worked out well, but in hindsight being what it is, I probably wouldn't do that again. That was pretty risky of me.
I remember I had done that before, way back in the day when that was really your only option. It was literally the Diz boards, and people would say, and you'd type, and they had people had access to contracts to print out. But still, at this point, I would definitely go with a company. That way, everyone is covered.
Yeah, you're not really saving any money by going in a private transaction, unless it's with Rob and I wasn't charging him what I would get paid from DVC, or what he would pay at DVC rental. I think Rob paid me what I would have gotten, which is basically the dues times 2 or whatever. It's not the full $20 that you actually get paid, or that you would actually pay, or $22 that you would actually pay at a DVC rental store. So.
I remember whatever I paid you was still cheaper than what it would have cost to stay at, I don't know, you're the math guy, maybe one of the moderates.
Well, I know how many points it was, and I know what I charged you, and I think that you would have struggled to stay at Art of Animation or Pop Century for that much.
Okay. That's what I thought.
For that length of stay.
Well, I mean, maybe that entices listeners too to go, well, maybe if I'm not ready to make that jump to actually purchasing it, maybe I do want to start off by renting first. So I knew all of this great info was going to sort of unfold on its own. So I think we're on Nick's number 3. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. So for my number 3 is that it's a hedge against inflation. So while yes, our dues go up, I bought in to the Polynesian, right? And so my contract goes for 50 years from when the Polynesian opened up, right? Or when the Polynesian, I should say when the Polynesian DVC part opened up. If you buy into Riviera, it's going out 50 years from that start date. The point charts so you're buying points. The point charts are pretty much set. The charts move, but not a lot. So like if you look at like Beach Club, Boardwalk, those original resorts, we call them 2042s because they expire in 2042. If you look at those resorts, their point charts are very low. So you could buy in, let's say back then for 150 points. That 150 points goes a long way at Boardwalk and Beach Club. It goes even further over at Old Key West. So like for me, when they keep adding these bigger, grander resorts, I'm sorry, but the Poly's always going to be a top tier resort. They just built that brand new tower. That's where I'm staying this summer. 40 years from now, the room has gotten expensive. It already is expensive, but it's gotten more expensive. The points to stay in that room have not. And so that's a big part of why I bought in, because it is a way to hedge against that inflation. Yes, my dues will go up, but that's a small price to pay for the rooms I'm getting to stay in.
Mm-hmm. It will always outpace rack rates, even with discounts.
Yes. Yeah. Even with discounts, 100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got about 35% discount for a French Quarter being an annual pass holder. So still that was deeply discounted and still a lot more than what a DVC room would have cost me with using my points.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So your dues every year cover, just quickly, we don't need to spend too much time. It covers sort of the maintenance year round, parking. Am I right?
No. Yeah. So the dues do cover a lot of different things, but mostly it's like the maintenance of the building. It's paying for the staff. It's our share of the staff. So like part of the cleaning staff, part of the building and grounds, that portion of that property that we own, the doorknob I own at Disney, which is about what it is, but whatever my portion is, my dues go to pay that proportion of the maintenance, that proportion of the staff cost, because they still have to staff a desk to check me in. It goes to pay for painting the rooms. It goes to paving paving the parking lots, but the renovations as well. And this is a big part, is that there is also a fund that those dues go to. So that way the schedule's been a little weird lately, but there is a refurbished schedule. And basically you get there's two different kinds of refurbs that happen to the rooms. One is a soft goods refurbish. One is a hard goods refurbish. When they do a soft goods refurbish, think of like changing out the carpet, maybe change some of the upholstery. Maybe you're changing, perhaps sometimes in the soft goods, they'll change out the appliances. Rarely, but sometimes they will. Mm-hmm. Like when they talk about hard goods, nothing's off limits. They could go in there and remodel the whole thing. They could gut it and redo it. You're talking about changing the electronics, changing the electrical makeup so that there's more USB plugs, all of those things. But our dues go to help pay for that and defray that cost.
Go ahead, Craig. You want to say something?
No, I was just talking about the hard goods. They've started putting in these Murphy beds that just fold down from the wall. And they used to have old-fashioned sofa beds, and a few of them still do. I wouldn't be able to tell you which ones at this point. But those things were as horrible as a sleeper sofa. They're just uncomfortable. They're not good. Yeah. So, but these beds, I could sleep on those with the Murphy beds, no problem. I like a good firm mattress to begin with. So, but yeah, and I will say, as long as I've been staying at those, I've stayed at resorts right before a refurb was scheduled, and yeah, the rooms are looking a little run down, but it's going to happen. It's never gotten to the point where it's like, I can't stay here or this is ruining my vacation, anything like that. It's just like, oh, yeah, that's a little dingy, but I know a refurb's coming. And then when you stay in a recently refurbed room, it's just beautiful.
Yes.
Perfect.
So, Rob, when we went to the Polynesian, you stayed in a refurbed room. Those rooms had just undergone their refurbishment. Yep. So that was like kind of the updated version. I stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge 2 summers ago, and they just now are getting refurbished, and they're slowly you're starting to see some reviews of people who've gone into the refurbed rooms. You could see stuff like, okay, this definitely looks dated. It's darker and whatnot, but it's definitely gotten. But now they come through and they get it better, and it was never something like Craig said. It's not something where I'm like, I can't stay here. So
never that. Well, it's good. It's Disney. You never really want it to be that bad. So anyway, Craig, let's jump to your number 2. What's your number 2 reason you bought DVC?
Okay, well, my number 2 is the same as Nick's number 4, and that's flexibility.
Good.
That's huge to me. Like, again, why it's not a regular timeshare where you're not buying into a certain amount of time in a certain room at a certain resort. You get your points and you can spend them wherever you want. I mean, there are rules, like you do buy into a home resort. So that is your resort. Let's say it's Boardwalk. So the advantage I get as a Boardwalk owner is I can start reserving rooms at 11 months out before anyone else. So between the 11 months and 7 months, only Boardwalk owners can book at Boardwalk. But then once 7 month hits, you can use your points to book anywhere. There are a few very weird caveats with that as well, and I can go into those later. But just the fact that I can stay, any possibility. I mean, yeah, Boardwalk might be sold out if I don't have Boardwalk points at the 7 month mark, but they have wait lists as well where you can, and it's super easy. You just put it in there, say it's a wait list. Okay, do you want to replace this reservation if this room comes available? Yes or no. So you're not going to, ruin things if it doesn't come through. You've always got yours. And if it's automatic, here's one thing that Disney does. I don't know if you've experienced this, Nick. Have you ever done a wait list?
I've done a wait list. It didn't come through, but I've done them.
Yeah. So when it comes through, they send you an email that says your reservation has been canceled, your original one. So it's taken me years to for my heart to not just stop when I see that headline in an email. What do you mean it's been canceled? No, that means your wait list came through. That's great.
Good
so I'm
cancel.
finally doing that. Yeah. And very rarely have I not gotten a wait list to come through. Like for Christmas, I managed to get a room at Old Key West. That was the only thing available. I waitlisted a duo studio at the Island Tower at the Polynesian. It came through. And it was almost the same amount of points.
Good for you.
So it's like, okay, that was literally over Christmas. So
those are very hard to get, those duo studios too. They're very hard to get.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the only thing I waitlisted was we wanted to switch our room view. We actually wanted to downgrade our room view at Aulani because we wanted an Island Gardens view. We didn't want the poolside gardens view just for noise reasons. Mm-hmm. And as it turned out, I'm glad we had the room we had because it really wasn't that noisy unless you opened the door, because they do a good job with soundproofing stuff. So yeah, I'm with you. Obviously, it was on my list with flexibility, so I'm with you on the flexibility.
And I mean, there's opportunities you can actually use your points for cruises, for other hotels nationwide. However, don't do it. It's definitely not worth it. You're going to be much better off renting those points and using that cash. I did that. We stayed in DC and just did the math. Really want to stay at a nice hotel, and it was a beautiful hotel, but it was kind of a once in a lifetime trip. So let's go for it. And that's exactly what I did. It's like, okay, if I just rent these points out, that's going to give me the cash to pay for that room. And it's a lot less. It was like half of what if I actually used my points to book the room.
Yeah.
Through DVC. Yeah. So
I have one last question for the both of you before we get to Nick's number 2. And I mean, you sort of answered this a little bit. I was going to ask you if you want to go to a different resort other than your home resort and it's not available, you go onto the wait list. What's the percentage of time that you're on the wait list and you get what you want? Or what's the percentage of time where you're kind of out of luck? And you're never out of luck because it's Disney and you still get to stay at your home resort, right? Can either of you talk about if you know how often that happens?
I mean, it's going to depend, Rob. So it's going to depend on what resort you're trying to get into. So, like the fact that Craig was able to pull off a duo studio at Poly at that time of year is remarkable.
Right. We all,
like for instance, if I'm looking to get a value studio over at Animal Kingdom Lodge, that wait list probably not coming through. But if you're looking at, what's weird? Honestly, the ones that come through more often than not are the higher point ones because people are trying to downgrade or move resorts. So DVC is a weird bunch of people. I don't know how to describe us. We're extremely budget conscious, right? So a lot of times those big rooms, like the theme park view rooms, those ones are the last ones to go for DVC a lot of times. And so if you're looking at a wait list on one of those more expensive rooms, you're probably point wise, you're probably going to see that come through. It's the value stuff that is tougher to get. If you're trying to do a wait list over marathon weekend over at the Boardwalk or Beach Club, good luck. It's probably not coming through. Opening weekend of a festival, probably not coming through. Yeah. But if you're doing it in the middle of the summer, if you're doing it in an off time, that wait list probably will come through.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to throw that in there before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Craig.
Craig.
I wanted to add September is like, as far as the DVC seasons go, point chart wise, September is the cheapest month. Like that's the least amount of points. That's also the hardest time to get a DVC room because it's a great time to go because overall crowds are lower, which is why it's less points. But DVC people are smart and like, oh,
yes,
let's go in September.
And you can do the Halloween stuff. Yeah, that's a we wish. Again, being teachers, I wish. That's one of the few months I've never been able to go to Disney. Well, sometime. Yeah. September and October, I haven't. I've done pretty much the rest of the months other than that. So,
I'll go ahead and do my number two. Yep, yeah. I'll go ahead and do my number two. Disney return trips. The reason I bought DVC, let's be honest, is because I love Disney. I love going to Disney. It is the big number two reason. It's not my number one. You'll see why in a little bit, but it's so awesome to vacation knowing you're going to be back. Because then if you don't make it on Tron, if you don't make it on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, if you don't make it on Everest, if you're, this ride's down, Big Thunder is down or Splash was down and getting refurbished. I knew I was coming back. So I don't feel that need to maybe stress out over not getting that or wait in a line that's just ridiculous. Like I don't need to wait 2 hours for Tron if I know I'm going to be back, in 6 months, 3 months, a year, whatever. So the Disney return trips is a big part of it. And you don't buy DVC because you're planning on renting everything out. I don't think anybody does that, but maybe they do. You buy DVC because you like going to Disney. And for me, that means that those return trips can be more frequent. So that's the number two reason for me is the return trips to Disney.
Craig, I'm sure you feel the same way.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And I that's part of my honorable mention, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. We'll get back to that a little bit later. But I think we are ready for Craig's number one reason that he bought DVC.
Yep. And we've pretty much already been discussing it. It's just the cost savings. And that is why I would do it again. That's why I'm doing it now. It holds its value. I hear horror stories about people buying to other timeshares and they can't get rid of it. They're stuck with it and they're stuck paying those dues. That's not happening with DVC. But again, it makes it affordable. So I can go back. So I can stay in the nicer resorts and have that kind of experience. And again, I joined in 1999, ended up selling that contract in a divorce, and that was easily the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. But then I was able to buy again resale. And we haven't even talked about resale yet, but that's just being able, it's like a single guy, like, I'm single income at least. And I can do that. So it's definitely the cost. I ended up being my number one.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a big part of it is the cost savings and looking at the math of it and realizing that, okay, financially, this is actually a good decision because I'm going to be coming back anyway. So like, I might as well do this 100%. I agree. So my number one is actually something that I've been lucky enough to be able to do, and that is family, bringing family, having bigger trips. You know, I'm not saying Rob could never have gone to the Poly, because he could have, but I think that I expedited the process for him to be able to go to the Poly, because we're just
thrifty. My wife is super thrifty, money saving, but Nick is right. You know, all 8 of us, you know, we're one big family. Nick gets to go with his mother and his brother. And I totally agree with you, Nick.
Yeah. Like the flexibility of having these larger rooms means that you can have larger parties. And if I have points, I'm not looking at that as like dollars and cents, like the same way. I know it is, but like, okay, the difference between a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom over at Animal Kingdom for the week, so that my brother and sister-in-law can join us and have that family time together. You know, my DVC story is a little bit different. It's, you know, it's bittersweet. When my father passed away, some of his life insurance money I used to purchase and pay cash for my first DVC contract. Why? Because my dad loved family. And so for me, number one is the family trips. And it's not just family. I keep saying family, but it's friends. You know, it's Rob. It's you know, my mother
chosen
coming,
family.
my mother-in-law. Yeah. Chosen family. Exactly. And so for me, that's the number one reason, is that it has afforded me a way to spend more quality time with my family. You know, going with my kids at their age right now, you know, they're 14 and 10, going to Hawaii. Like, come on, like they would have never gotten that chance. But because we had DVC, now we're looking at paying for a flight. We're not looking at paying for a room, you know? And so in the end, for me, my number one is all of the wonderful family trips. So
awesome.
That's a great one. I had the privilege to take my parents back in 2005, I believe. They were both retired at the time. My mom's no longer with us. Dad's still alive, but he's 93. He's not going to make that trip again. But yeah, they did like a road trip to Florida. So they were going to all these different places. So I said, hey, I can get us a room for like 3 nights. I'll meet you down there. And it was, you know, being able just to do that for my parents, that was such a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. So
now I know a couple of you have honorable mentions, and at one point, Craig, you mentioned resale. Did you want to discuss that a little bit, or do you want to get right to your honorable mentions?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about resale real quick. Just because if you're not familiar, you can either buy direct from Disney, or there's also literally a resale market out there. And there are a few sites like DVC Resale Market where you can buy contracts that people are trying to sell, and it moves. Like, I mean, I've actually sold contracts before. I made the mistake of buying a different use year. Now, a lot of people were fine with that. I thought I'd be fine with it because I am good with numbers and organizing, and it turned out just to be a nightmare. So I ended up just selling that one and buying another one with my use year. And again, it was almost an even exchange. I mean, it wasn't like I lost a lot of money on it. If that, I mean, the points I was able to use, I used. So, so you don't get as many perks. That's the only problem with, you're saving a ton of money, like thousands of dollars by buying resale for the original purchase price. Dues are going to be different, but you don't get the perks. Like if you buy direct from Disney, they have like a really good discount on annual passes. You get your regular discounts that annual pass people do, like 10% off food at most restaurants and merchandise and that kind of thing. They have DVC lounges, which I don't think, Nick, all your points are resale, correct?
All of mine are resale. So I've never been, I don't value the lounges as much. I do see the value in the annual pass discount. But the lounges aren't, for me, the lounge isn't a big perk. And I'm not flexible enough that I can be like, oh, let's go because they're doing a Moonlight Magic. Like so I'm okay with not getting to do those things.
Yeah, and then when you do, if like I do have an annual pass, but paid full price for it, but renewal is going to be cheaper at least. But yeah, let's get all the same like merchandise discounts and food discounts DVC does. So that's the lounges are like one big thing, and they're nice. Don't get me wrong, I was able to be in the one in Epcot with friends of mine. But yeah, when I looked at how much I was saving on that original purchase, the Justifully wasn't worth it, but it's going to be worth it for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. If you buy through Disney for your vacation club points here, does that mean that you can purchase your annual pass to the parks as a Florida resident? Because technically you own property, and is that how that works? No.
So
no.
So if you buy through Disney,
okay,
the tier of your pass is it is technically a Florida resident pass, but it's not the one you're thinking of. I believe
where you have an address, you live in Claremont or whatever.
Right. No, so it's I think it's like $1,200 or something like that for that particular one. It's the one right below. It's the tier right below the Incredipass, I believe. Am I right on that, Craig? It's like the second tier one. You only get blocked out, like I think for the 2 weeks around Christmas and then maybe around July 4th, but that's about it.
But to clarify, that's it. They offer that to DVC members and Florida residents. You don't get it by being DVC and being a Florida resident because you're DVC.
Right.
So you can't like do any other Florida discounts.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that one.
That's a good
second
question,
tier
though.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious. Since we're pretty much completed with our list, I know at least Craig, Nick, you might also have a couple honorable mentions before we wrap up our main show. Also, if you're a Patreon member, if you want to become a Patreon member, we're going to have a whole nother show where Nick and Craig answer questions that were submitted by patrons for about DVC. So let's go and see if you have any quick honorable mentions before we finish out our main show.
My honorable mention, it's kind of the intangibles, which is kind of what Nick's number one was. It's like the ability to return, knowing I'm going to be able to come back. There's that feeling of ownership. I remember when I first joined, like it was a big thing. Like when you went through the parking gate, they always said, "Welcome home." And like, if they didn't say that, you noticed, So yeah, always getting greeted about welcome home. That kind of wears, I mean, again, I've been doing this for 26 years now. That kind of wears off. But I remember at the beginning, I was like, that really felt great that, it really felt like I belong here.
It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I would say to piggyback off that, like when you tap in at the parks and it turns pink instead of green, like that's kind of, it's a little thing, but like for me, that's like kind of a cool little thing that we see. It is the intangibles. There's so much to it. Even something as small as a DVC exclusive merch, like that's still cool that we belong to this club and it's certainly not an exclusive thing. It's not like we're being elitist when we say we belong to this club, but it's fun to be a part of something and to be, an owner of, it might be a doorknob, but darn it, it's my doorknob at Disney. So,
well, and it's open to everybody. I mean, anyone can really call it elitist, but I could join today and I'm part of your club now. Obviously Disney wants more people to be part of this club, of course. But that's very, very cool. Any other ones that you want to talk about here that we may have missed? I want to make sure everybody can share.
I think I'm good. I think I'm really excited for our Patreon show where we get to answer some questions and crunch some numbers. I get to flex my math geek muscle here on some of these things. So I think that'll be fun. So definitely join us over there on Patreon. But guys, it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time and we'll see you real soon.